Before we begin tonight's stories, if you're not already subscribed, hit that button now and join the Nightmare Society. I share horror stories 3 times a week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's jump into tonight's disturbing stories. I moved into my apartment in Chicago in August 2023, right after I turned 29. 4th floor unit on the north side, nothing fancy, but it had a small balcony facing east. I loved sitting out there in the mornings with a coffee. The building had security, cameras in the lobby, doorman during the day. I felt safe. On September the 23rd, at 11:04 p.m, I was watching TV when I heard a knock. Not on my front door, on my balcony sliding glass door. I turned slowly. The curtains were open. A man was standing outside on my balcony, 4 stories up. I screamed and jumped off the couch. He was tall, 6 feet, maybe 6'1", wearing a black North Face jacket and dark jeans. His face was lean, mid-30s, with a short beard and eyes that looked too calm. He raised his hand and knocked again. 3 slow knocks. "What the?" I shouted. "How did you get up there?" He spoke through the glass, voice quiet and steady. "Hey, Rebecca, can we talk?" He knew my name. I grabbed my phone. "I'm calling 911 right now. Get away from my door." "Please don't do that. I'm not here to hurt you. Can you just let me in? I need to explain something." "How did you get onto my balcony?" He smiled. Not threatening, almost apologetic. "I climbed. It wasn't that hard. Can we talk? Just for a few minutes?" I dialed 911. "There's a man on my balcony, 4th floor. I don't know how he got here." The dispatcher took my address, told me officers were coming, told me to stay inside. The man watched me calmly through the glass. "Rebecca, you don't need to be scared. I just want to have a conversation." "Who are you? How do you know my name?" "You don't know me, but I know you. I've been getting to know you for a while now." My blood went cold. "What does that mean?" "I know your routine. You wake up at 7:15 every morning. You go to Momentum Coffee on Clark Street at 8 a.m. You order an oat milk latte. You go to LA Fitness on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Your boyfriend Matt comes over on weekends. You talked to your mum last Wednesday for 33 minutes. Everything he said was true." "How do you know that?" "I've been watching, paying attention. I know everything about you, Rebecca." "The police are coming. They're going to arrest you." He looked disappointed, like I'd let him down. "I was hoping we could talk first, but okay, I understand." He stepped backwards towards the railing. For a second I thought he was going to jump. We were 4 stories up, but instead he swung his leg over the railing and lowered himself down, hanging from the bottom. I ran to the glass and looked out. He dropped onto the 3rd floor balcony below mine, landed into a crouch, looked up at me and waved, then opened the sliding door and stepped inside the building. I screamed. He'd just gone into my neighbour's apartment. Police arrived 7 minutes later, 3 officers. 2 searched the building floor by floor while 1 stayed with me. "You went into 3rd floor unit below yours?" the officer said. "You know who lives there?" "No, I don't know my neighbours." They knocked on the 3rd floor apartment. No answer. The building manager came with keys and unlocked it. The apartment was empty. No furniture, no tenant, but the balcony door was unlocked. They searched the apartment. In the bedroom corner, they found a sleeping bag, empty takeout containers, water bottles, a climbing rope tied to the balcony railing, hanging over the side. "Someone's been living there," one officer said. "How long has this unit been vacant?" The manager checked his tablet. 2 months. Previous tenant broke their lease in July." The detective who arrived 20 minutes later pulled the building security footage. The camera showed the man entering through the parking garage 3 weeks ago. September the 2nd, he tailgated behind another resident's car, walked to the 3rd floor and picked the lock on the vacant apartment. He's been living there for 21 days. The detective paused the footage and I watched my screen in horror as he showed me more clips. The man leaving the apartment every night, always late, always in dark clothes. Exterior cameras caught him following me, to the coffee shop, to the gym, to the grocery store. Footage of him sitting in a Honda Civic across the street, watching my balcony from below. He's been following you for weeks, the detective said quietly. He clicked to another video, hallway camera, September the 8th. The man followed me home from the lobby. I remember that day. I thought someone was behind me, but when I turned, the hallway was empty. The footage showed why. He ducked into the stairwell. Then, after I went inside my apartment, he walked up to my door and just stood there for 4 minutes, listening. Oh my God, I whispered. The detective kept clicking through footage. He could see into your apartment whenever you had your balcony door open or your curtains pulled back. On the 3rd floor, looking up, he had a clear view. They issued an arrest warrant. His name was Colin Voss, 33, from Indianapolis. 2 prior arrests for trespassing, 1 for stalking an ex-girlfriend in 2019. They found his car 3 blocks away. Inside were printed photos of me, dozens of them. Me on my balcony, through my living room window, walking down the street. A spiral note case with my daily schedule written in meticulous detail, colour-coded by day of the week. The detective showed me 1 page. It listed every place I'd been in September, with times and routes. They arrested Colin 4 days later at a motel in Evanston. He confessed immediately, said he'd seen me at Momentum Coffee in August and felt a connection he needed to explore. Started following me, found out where I lived, broke into the vacant apartment to be closer. He said he's been planning to introduce himself properly, the detective told me. He thought if he could just explain his feelings, you'll understand. I got a restraining order, moved out 2 weeks later. My new apartment is on the 1st floor, no balcony, security bars on the window. But I still can't sleep with my curtains open. Can't sit near windows at night. Every sound outside, a branch scraping, footsteps on the sidewalk, a car door closing. I think about him standing on my balcony, calm, patient, knocking on my door like we were friends. Rebecca, can we talk? I installed my Ring Doorbell in April 2023. 2 weeks after I moved into my house in Beaverton, Oregon. I was 27, living alone for the first time, and my mum insisted on the security system. Just so I can sleep at night, she said. The doorbell connected to my phone. Any motion or button press would send a notification with video. For the first month, I got alerts constantly. Delivery drivers, neighbours walking dogs, kids cutting through my yard. I started ignoring the notifications unless I was expecting a package. Then I got a notification at 2:47 AM on May the 19th. I was in bed, half asleep, when my phone buzzed. Ring doorbell, motion detected. I almost swiped it away, but something made me open the app. A man was standing on my porch, not at the street, not on the sidewalk, on my porch, 3 feet from my front door. He was staring directly at the camera, completely still, just staring. He was maybe 35, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. His face was pale in the infrared light, expressionless. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there looking at the camera like he could see through it. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. The video was live. He was out there right now. I watched for 30 seconds. He didn't move. Then the motion timer ended and the video stopped recording. I pulled up the Ring app history. The motion had triggered at 2:47 AM. The video showed him walking past my doorway at 2:46, stopping at the porch and standing there until 2:48. 2 minutes of standing perfectly still, staring at the camera. Then he turned and walked away. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I kept checking the app, watching the empty porch. At 6 AM, I called the non-emergency police line. The officer who took my report sounded bored.
Did he try your door?
No, he just stood there.
Did he say anything? Make any threats?
No, but...
Ma'am, standing on someone's porch isn't illegal. If he comes back and tries to enter, call 911. Otherwise, it's probably just someone who had the wrong address.
I knew it wasn't the wrong address. You don't stand motionless on someone's porch for 2 minutes if you have the wrong house. The next night, May the 20th, I got another notification. 2:47 AM, same time exactly. I opened the app. He was back. This time, he was standing closer, 1 foot from my door, still staring at the camera, still not moving. I called 911. There's a man on my porch. He was here last night too, same time. He's just standing there, staring.
Is he trying to enter your home?
No, but he's...
Has he made any threats?
He's not saying anything. He's just staring at the camera.
We'll send an officer to check the area. Stay inside with your doors locked.
I watched the Ring feed. At 2:49 AM, he turned and walked down my driveway. The police arrived at 2:54. He was already gone.
The officer knocked on my door. We checked the area. No signs of anyone. You have video?
I showed him the footage. He watched it, frowning.
That's definitely weird. We'll increase patrols in this neighbourhood. If he comes back, call immediately.
What if he tries the door next time?
Then we'll have grounds to arrest him for attempted burglary. Right now, he hasn't committed any crime.
Night 3, May 21st, 2:47 AM. Notification. He was at my door, hand on the handle. I screamed, alone in my house, staring at my phone. He wasn't pulling or turning it. His hand was just resting on the handle. He looked at the camera and spoke. Sarah. My name. He said my name. Sarah, I know you're in there. I called 911, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. He's at my door. He's touching my door handle. He said my name. Please send someone.
Officers are on the way. Do not open the door. Is your door locked?
Yes, it's locked.
Stay on the line with me.
I watched the Ring feed. He stood there for another minute, hand on the handle, staring at my camera. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, something wrong and cold, and walked away. Police arrived 4 minutes later. He was gone again. This time they took it seriously. 2 officers came inside, checked my locks, looked at the footage.
We're going to check with your neighbours, one said. See if anyone has security cameras that might have caught which direction he went.
Why is he doing this? How does he know my name?
Could he be someone you know? An ex-boyfriend? Co-worker?
I just moved here 2 months ago. I don't know anyone in Oregon except my co-workers and this isn't anyone I work with. They filed a report, told me to call immediately if he returned. I didn't sleep at all that night. May the 22nd, I stayed at a hotel. I couldn't be in that house. I watched the Ring app all night from the hotel room. 2:47 AM, notification. He was back, standing at my door. He knocked. 3 slow knocks. Waited. Knocked again. Sarah, please, I just want to talk. His voice was calm, reasonable, like we were old friends and I was being rude by not answering. I know you're not home. I saw you leave, but you'll have to come back eventually. He reached into his pocket. I stopped breathing. He pulled out a piece of paper and held it up to the camera. I couldn't read it in the infrared, but I could see writing. He left it tucked into my door frame and just walked away. I called 911 from the hotel. Police went to my house. They retrieved the note. It was a receipt from the coffee shop I went to every morning. From 3 days ago, my name was written on the cup. He'd been following me. The detective assigned to my case called me the next morning.
Sarah, I need you to come to the station. We need to go through your Ring footage history.
I already showed you the last 4 nights. All of it. Every notification from the day you installed it. I met him at the station. We pulled up my Ring account on his computer and started scrolling through the motion detection history. April the 30th, the day I installed it. May the 1st, May the 2nd, May the 8th, 2:47 AM. There he was. Oh my God, I whispered. The detective kept scrolling. May the 9th, 2:47 AM, May the 10th, May the 11th. He's been coming every single night for almost 3 weeks. I never checked the notifications because they came when I was asleep.
Keep watching,
the detective said quietly. May the 15th, the footage showed him on my porch at 2:47 AM, standing there for 2 minutes. Then he reached out and tried my door handle. It opened. I watched myself on my own security camera as he pushed my door open and stepped inside my home. No, I said. No, that's not possible. I lock my door every night. The detective pointed to the timestamp.
This was during the day, May the 15th, 2:47 PM, not AM.
I'd been at work. My house was empty. The footage showed him inside for 11 minutes. Then he left, pulling the door closed behind him.
He's been inside your home, the detective said. We need to get a team there now.
They found evidence in my bedroom, clothes moved in my closet, photos on my phone. He'd gone through my phone while it was charging and taken pictures of my photos. Pictures of me with my family, my friends, my ex-boyfriend from college. They found his fingerprints, identified him within 6 hours. His name was Marcus Webb, 34, from Seattle, no criminal record. But when they contacted Seattle PD, they learned something. The woman who lived in my house before me, the one I bought it from, was named Jennifer Webb. Marcus's ex-wife. She died in a car accident in February, 3 months before I moved in. Marcus had been coming to the house looking for her, had a key from when they dated. When he realized someone new was living there, he started watching me instead. They arrested him at his apartment in Seattle, found more photos of me, printed and hung on his wall, a notebook with my schedule, what time I left for work, what time I came home, where I went on weekends. The prosecutor said he'd be charged with stalking, trespassing and burglary. I got a restraining order, sold the house and moved back to California. But I still have the Ring doorbell at my new place, and I check every notification now, every single one, because sometimes, late at night, I get a notification at 2:47 AM, and for just a second before I open the app, I'm terrified I'll see him there again, standing on my porch, staring at my camera, saying my name. My girlfriend Emma and I rented the house on Mount Hood for a long weekend in October 2023. We were both 28, living in Portland, and we wanted somewhere quiet to disconnect. The Airbnb listed looked perfect, a cabin on the edge of Gifford Pinchot National Forest, 40 minutes from the nearest town, total privacy. We arrived Friday evening, October the 13th, just before sunset. The house sat at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by forest on 3 sides. The host, Ron, had left the key in a lockbox and a note. Cell service is spotty, but the landline works. Motion sensor lights are for wildlife. Ron. The house was small, living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. Large windows facing the forest, We unpacked, made dinner, and were in bed by 10 p.m. At 11:43 p.m, the motion light snapped on. I woke to the bedroom flooded with harsh white light. Emma sat up. What was that? Motion sensor, probably a deer. The light stayed on for 2 minutes, then clicked off. At 12:17 a.m, lights on the other side of the house. Emma looked through the window. I don't see anything. At 1:34 a.m, the lights came on again. At 2:41 a.m, Emma grabbed my arm. Jake, look. She pointed at the window. Someone was standing at the tree line, maybe 50 feet from the house, partially hidden behind a Douglas fir, watching our bedroom window. Watching our bedroom window. Is that a person? Emma whispered. I moved to the window. The figure was barely visible, tall, maybe 6'2", wearing dark clothes and a hood pulled low, completely still. Hello? I shouted through the window. The figure didn't move. I grabbed my phone. No signal. I'm calling Ron on the landline. Ron answered, groggy and irritated. Hello? There's someone outside, standing in the forest watching the house. Long pause. What do you mean, someone? A person, tall, wearing dark clothes. They're not moving, they're just watching. Are you sure it's a person? It could be a tree stump. It's a person. I'm looking right at them. Another pause. Lock your doors. Stay inside. I'll call the sheriff. They're about 30 minutes away. Do not go outside. When I returned to the bedroom, Emma was still at the window. They're gone. We turned on every light in the house. Emma held a kitchen knife. The motion lights kept triggering. Front, side, back, front again. Something was moving around out there. The sheriff arrived at 3:47 a.m. Deputy Henson, mid-40s, driving a truck with a spotlight. He walked the perimeter with his flashlight, checked the forest edge. When he came back, his face was grim. I found footprints, multiple people, at least 3, maybe 4. They were walking around the property, near the windows. Multiple, Emma said. He nodded. Check your doors and windows with me. Everything was locked, but the back door had fresh scratches around the lock. Someone had tried to get in. Henson looked at me seriously. You need to leave. Pack up and go back to Portland tonight. What's going on here? He hesitated, and gestured to his truck. Let me show you something. He pulled out a map and pointed to the national forest behind the house. See these dotted lines? Old logging roads. They're not maintained anymore, but people still use them. He looked at me. For things they shouldn't be doing. What kind of things? The kind where they don't like witnesses. You need to leave. Now. I can't stay here, and backup is another 30 minutes if you call again. We packed up in 10 minutes. As we loaded the car, Henson swept with his spotlight around the tree one more time. Jesus Christ, he said quietly. I turned. There were 5 people standing at the edge of the forest in a line, just standing there, watching us. They didn't move, didn't speak. 2 of them were holding something. Bags, I think, duffel bags. One was exceptionally tall, maybe 6'5". Another was shorter, stockier, hands shoved in pockets. The one in the middle had his hood down. I could see his face, pale and expressionless in the spotlight. Get in your car, Henson said, right now. We got in. Henson got in his truck, turned on his sirens and spotlight. The 5 figures didn't move. They just stepped backwards into the forest and disappeared. We followed Henson down the gravel road, and I kept checking the rearview mirror, expecting headlights. When we got back to Portland around 6 a.m, I called Ron and demanded a refund. He refused, said we violated rental terms by leaving early. I left a 1-star review warning others. Ron replied publicly, guests overreacted to wildlife. 2 months later, I saw a news article. DEA and Oregon State Police had raided a drug operation in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. Multiple arrests. The suspects had been using an abandoned logging road to transport methamphetamine for 3 years. I pulled up the map. The logging road ran directly behind Ron's rental house. We never went back. Emma still has nightmares about those 5 figures standing in the tree line. Just standing there, watching, waiting.